right. There we go. Happy Friday, everybody. Good afternoon, all you magnificent melon heads, and shout out to all you wonderful Twitter randos out there in Twitterville. How you guys doing on Friday afternoon? It's my favorite part of the week, my Friday afternoon live stream. We're unbound by the constraints of time. We can talk about all things finance and markets. And we're going to dabble in finance and markets and all things today. We might touch on a little bit of that, but you might have guessed, we're going to zero in on one very specific story. And if you've been paying attention to this channel, if you are not the finance media and you actually have been looking, then you probably know what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about Coreweave, my favorite topic to talk about, because finally got the mainstream press to look at the story this week, but they looked in all the wrong ways. Not one article have I seen mentions anything about the suspicious, and I mean very suspicious past of the people behind Coreweave. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about some of the commonalities of the industry that these guys come from. We're going to talk about founder market fit. I've had a couple of very interesting cats reach out to me recently over these last few weeks. People who have invested their time in me, they've encouraged me, and they've actually given me some pointers on places to look. And thank you to all you guys that are out there. I really do appreciate that. It's been a trip, guys. Something I never expected in this when I started this channel. Never in a million years did I expect anything like this. But we done stepped in it. And I'm not going to let this story go because I do believe at my core that this is important. I don't have all the facts. I don't have all the details. I don't understand the why. Let me just get that clear. I don't understand the why. I don't get it. When you're already a billionaire, when you already have a product that everybody in the world is clamoring for, why? I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't understand what drives someone like that because I'm not someone like that. So I don't understand that. But let me just get a few things out of the way early. All right. First of all, the technology is awesome. I want everybody to know that because all the criticisms I've received for my work on Coreweave has been everybody wants these GPUs. These GPUs are so great. They're so powerful. They can do amazing things. I get that. I'm not arguing with that. Point, okay? I get it. But incredible technology and unscrupulous, suspicious business dealings can coexist within the same company or the same few companies. Just because the tech is good does not mean the business dealings are. All right? They are not mutually exclusive. You can have both. The tech is awesome. You can keep telling me how great the tech is. I'm agreeing with you. Matter of fact, right here off to my side here is a GeForce RTX 3090 graphics card from NVIDIA. NVIDIA's technology is amazing. I'm not arguing that point with you at all. I believe the demand is real for these NVIDIA chips. All right. And again, some of these people and these very interesting, amazing people have reached out to me. It's been an honor and a privilege to talk to some of you guys. People have requested to remain anonymous. I'm going to honor that request. But these are some pretty impressive people, very nice, willing to share their time with me. And I'd imagine that there's a lot of demand for their time, and they're willing to share it with me. So that is a very good feeling. Thank you to all you people who have done that. The demand is real. That's universal. Everybody wants these things, these H100s. I'm even told, what was one of these guys, the phrase he used, the single most sought after piece of technology in the history of Silicon Valley. All right, so that's a very strong statement there. Okay, so the demand, I believe the demand is real. There are people out there, people who tend to be on the something is up here side of things with me. There are people saying that they think the demand is fake. I personally don't think the demand is fake, which is also why one of the reasons I'm in disbelief. Why then, if you already have a product that everybody in the world wants, why Coreweave? Why these guys? What is it about these guys at Coreweave that they're the people who get the NVIDIA chips when everybody else is in the back of the line? Nobody can answer that. So we're going to talk a little bit about founder market fit. Thank you for that tip. So I believe the tech is real. I want to get that out of the way, all right? Because all these articles, the smear pieces that are being written about me is maybe not about me, about Samantha, about Kashif, about all the people who are questioning what's going on here when we're being told we're conspiracy theorists, which, you know, go ahead, guys. It's the 2020s. Go ahead and call somebody a conspiracy theorist. That just means right next year, right? That's all a conspiracy theory means. It's the freaking 2020s, guys. All right? Think about some of the things that have been called conspiracy theories recently that ended up being true. Might want to choose your words more carefully. But you know what conspiracy theory does? That allows them to just say, it's a conspiracy. I don't have to actually argue with any of it. I don't actually have to look at any of it. Just call it a conspiracy theory, label it, move on. And that's what the press did. None of these articles that call it conspiracy theories, Forbes even called me dubious, none of them mention any of the work. No links to the videos. No talk about who the players are, who the people are that are saying these things. Nothing. And these articles appear to be specifically written so that the reader just automatically, for future reference, disregards any questions along this line, and they're left with nothing to search. Because if you look at that article from Market Watch, there was no mention of Samantha LeDuc. There was no mention of nobody special. All right, so the reader had no way of following up and making up their own mind. They're told, don't look. Just keep your eyes closed. I also believe that Coreweave is actually buying the chips. All right, that's another thing that the debunkers are trying to say to discredit all of the work. I don't believe that Coreweave is faking orders or anything like that. I actually believe they're buying the chips. All right, I have no reason to doubt the actual orders are being placed. All right. Now, all that being said, also the BlackRock Blackstone thing, like that, they're zeroing in on the fact that early on some people confused Blackstone with BlackRock, which, let's be honest, everybody has done that at one point in their life. He who is without that particular sin, you may cast the first black stone in that regard. But that's a tactic that I saw Sam Bankman-Fried use when he was being interviewed. I listened in on a lot of the spaces that revolting, disgusting blob of a human being made in the aftermath of him getting busted. And he had a particular tactic. When he was asked a question, he would hyper-focus on one nuance of the question while ignoring the meat of the question. He'd hyper-focus on that nuance, and he would dissect it. And then he would use industry language and terms that he knew the people asking the question didn't know in order to seize the power in the conversation. Because most people are afraid of saying, I don't know. Most people are afraid to say that because they feel like it makes them look weak and stupid. All right. And in my experience as an engineer who's afraid to say, I don't know, causes very big problems. So we were always taught in my training that if you don't know, say you don't know. Say, get it out there right away so that very important decisions aren't made on what you don't know. Sam Bankman-Fried was an expert on preying on that vulnerability of people. So he'd hyper-focus on some nuance. He'd throw out some confusing term so people would get confused and back away out of fear of looking stupid. I see them doing that in the press right now, too, with this Blackstone BlackRock thing. All the conversation in these articles, Stacey Raskin's ridiculous analyst note that ignored everything in any of my videos. Ignored all of it. Spent plenty of time calling me puerile and a rando. Did not address the shell companies in the Cayman Islands. Did not address the Magnetar Trade. Did not ask the question, why Coreweave? What's special about them? Why is Magnetar willing to give them money? And why is NVIDIA willing to give them chips? Nobody's asking that question. They're just lobbing personal insults. There was more space dedicated to personal insults in those articles than asking any of the perfectly legitimate questions about these people that we're raising on this channel. It was a disgusting piece of work. It really was. And shame on the press for parroting it. One after another, they're all parroting this. Wall Street defends NVIDIA from dubious conspiracy theories. All right, so the Blackstone BlackRock thing that they're attacking. The tech, I think the tech is awesome. The demand, I think, is real. and Coreweave is buying the chips. Now, with that, we're going to get into the story. We're going to get into what they're telling you not to look at again. All right, some of this you may have seen before. If you've seen all my videos, some of it you may haven't. And to any journalist that I'm watching, that may be watching right now, I will give you everything I have, all of my notes. I'm tracking everything. I'll give it all to you. Make up your own mind. And if you review my notes and you think I'm a nut, call me a nut. All right? I am convinced if you review my notes and if you pull the threads that I've pulled, you'll reach the same conclusion I have. All right? Now, you can listen to what Stacey Raskin tells you about my work and make up your mind about my work, or you can do what a journalist should do and look at it for yourself and make up your own mind. All right? I'm telling you to look. He's telling you don't look. You make up your own mind. Let's bring in my man Mish and shrink my big melon of a head while we're at it. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing real good. How you doing?
I'm doing good, brother. I'm doing good. I'm running on caffeine and miscontent, but I can do this all year, baby. All year.
I hope you get a good nap tomorrow.
No rest for the wicked. Money don't grow on trees. Got bills to pay. Got mouths to feed. I love that song.
We do have a super chat.
We got a super chat already? Oh, thank you guys. You guys are awesome. Nashville, there he is. What's going on, brother? Thank you again, Nashville Pasta Man, for your continuing support of the channel. I really appreciate that. Market Watch, I saw the article and laughed and laughed and laughed some more. It was an interesting piece of comedy, wasn't it? I just want to point out that nobody at Market Watch reached out to me for comment before publishing that article. Nobody at Forbes, nobody at Investor Place, no journalist anywhere has reached out for comment. So if you're even considering the audacious possibility of covering this story, you'll be the first to present the other side. Maybe I'm a nut, maybe I'm not. You won't know unless you look. All I'm saying is look. And they're saying don't look. And historically, in the grand scheme of history, who is usually on the right side? Indiana Jones being the one exception. When some people tell you don't look and others tell you look, usually the right decision is to look. All right, so I'll give you the one asterisk. Unless you are standing next to somebody who just opened the Ark of the Covenant, don't look. All right? And it ended badly for those guys. Everybody else, it ended really well. Yes, I'm talking about Raiders of the Lost Ark. Thank you very much, Nashville Pasta Man. I do appreciate that very much, the support of the channel. You are a gentleman and a scholar, as is my buddy Jose Orozco. What's going on, Jose, the keeper of the Buc-ee's Corn Nuggets? He says, congrats, Twitter rando. Put that right here on a patch. Rando. First Blood, Part 2. Congrats, Twitter rando, for drawing out a hit piece. That is somewhat flattering, isn't it? Well, wow, I got a smear piece. How about that? I felt like Navin R. Johnson when the new phone book got here. Name the movie in the comments. 100 million melon coin to whoever can name that movie. And I thought Mish would have his hand up by now, but no. He does not. Thank you, Jose. I appreciate that, sir. Let's see what's going on in the markets before we get into this stuff. We got the Fear Greed Index. Let me refresh this because it's been a little while since I opened this up. It is at 51, still just leaning a point in a greedward direction. The S&P is a whole bunch of nothing today. Stocks bounced around a little bit. S&P down 2 points, 0.05%, 40. You know what? These are the futures. I am remiss, guys. I didn't change my charts. You know, there we go. We're going to have to, we're doing it live.
There's nothing going on today.
All right, there's nothing going on, so we're going to do it quick. We got the Dow is up 4 points, 34,540 on the Dow. The S&P is up 2.5 points, 0.06%. I'm sorry, down 2.5 points, 44,448 on the S&P. And the NASDAQ is down an entire 11 points, 13,736 on the NASDAQ. So we're going to close these windows so I don't go back to those. The DXY clawing out a gain for the day, back over 105, up 2 basis points. Good day for the Dixie. Flat day for the Dixie. A whole lot of nothing happening in markets. How about that? Gold down 55 cents for December futures at 1941. Silver December futures down 7 cents, 23.16. Crude oil, all right, crude oil. October futures moved 50 cents. That's not a little bit of movement in oil, but commodities are flat. The world is holding its breath today. I don't know what on, but the world is sitting there holding their breath. Let's see. On the Treasury side of things, mixed bag on the yield curve today. 30-year yield down 2 basis points, yielding 4.33%. 10-year down not a half of 1 point, yielding 4.256% on the 10-year. The 2 is at 4.986. That's up 3 basis points. And the 1 month at 3.91, up 2 bips this morning. All right. So that's what's going on in the market. I'm going to get to a couple more super chats real quick before we get into this one because I got my man Keenan is there. What's up, Keenan? Thank you, sir, for my incognito fake mustache and wig. Is that so I can go out in public without worrying about the black SUV following me? I've had a lot of people reach out to me and talk about stirring up a hornet's nest and watch your six, that kind of stuff. Thank you, guys. I appreciate the concern. No immediate concerns of that, luckily. So I'm happy to report that. But thank you, guys. I appreciate the concern. And thank you, Keenan, for the laugh. Yeah, I need to get one of those old, like, Groucho Marx disguises, the fake nose and glasses with the mustache. Or I'll just, where is he? Where's Kay? Maybe I could just wear Kay's glasses. There you go. They'll never recognize me with these on, right? No, they'll never recognize me. Anyway, Kay's not coming today. Sorry. Kay's not here, man. All right, Keenan. Thank you very much, sir, for the super chat, the support of the channel. And thank you, Jim Watari. Jim says, it only means that you're close to the mark. I've had a lot of people cite that to me, some version of that, and I agree. That's a phrase Greg Manarino uses it a lot in his thumbnails. What's up, Greg Manarino, if you're watching? It's a saying from an anonymous World War II bomber pilot who said, the flak gets thickest when you're over the target. Right? When they start shooting at you, that's when you know you're getting close enough that they're nervous. So thank you, Jim Watari. I appreciate that. I was a little surprised. Well, no, I wasn't surprised to see the hit piece. I was very surprised that they didn't at least make a token effort to reach out for a comment. I thought they kind of had to do that, a journalist. That's like one of the prerequisites, that you have to do that. I know that's what their standards, the ethics that they preach and congratulate each other on says, but none of them did that. Everybody who's writing this article, not one of them has reached out.
They just straight on went to insulting, and I think we talked about this last night, that if they're using insults instead of proof or evidence, you're close to the mark because they can't prove differently. If they could prove differently, they would.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, in the headline, insults in the headline. Not just in the article. I mean, it's trash to put personal attacks in the article itself. To put insults in the headline and the byline, that's like, drinking Milwaukee's Best in a wife beater on the stoop of your trailer with your car up on cinder blocks right next to you. Should I throw a few more stereotypes in there, or are you getting the point? That article was trash, all right? It was trash written by trash. All right, no standards whatsoever were followed. No even mention of any of the legitimate details of the questions that have been raised. They just led with personal attacks. The message was, don't look. And thank you, Jim Watari. I appreciate that, sir. Thank you. First Last, he says, beer money. All right. YouTube not letting me say about NVIDIA or NVIDIA. Everybody's making fun of Samantha Leduc. So, Leduc, let me say NVIDIA, all right? Don't throw a tomato at me for saying NVIDIA. Says, YouTube not letting me say about NVIDIA. Real comment after this one. Okay, First Last. I'm going to look. What was the real comment after that one? Let me see if I can find it. It's harder to find because they don't stick out in the feed. Do you remember? Okay, there it is. He says, news are for morons. Market go up. Those people will get their money in the market and will lose it. And that is the idea. Keep them poor and stupid. Do not tell the truth or get banned. I can put that up now. So they said it. Yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't let that go in a super chat First Last. I'm not sure what that tripped up in the algorithm. Maybe the moron thing. I don't know. That's not my doing, though. I just want you to know that. Let me just talk a little bit about this because, you kind of struck a nerve. A lot of people are reacting with anger at the possibility of this, and I understand why. All right. People do not want to believe things that are contrary to their own interest. It's a natural impulse. And, think about like that buddy, you tell your friend, hey, man, I saw your girl cheating on you, right? What's your buddy going to do? He's probably going to lash out at you. Or it's very common for him to lash out. You never liked her. You just want to sabotage a relationship. He storms off, right? It's a natural reaction when people don't want to believe they've been suckered. Okay. And I get it, right? It's a lousy feeling. When you realize you've been used as exit liquidity, that sucks. See also me buying my first house in 2006. All right. I get it. But that's not an excuse for squeezing your eyes shut. That's not an excuse for cognitive dissonance. So I understand the anger. I've kind of been prepared for some of the anger. But guys, just look. That's all. Just look. All right. You can look at what I'm looking at, and if you reach a different conclusion, at least you looked, and congratulations for that. All right. I'm not the one telling you look away. All right. The one who's trying to keep you ignorant and dumb is in the mainstream press. All right. Maybe my idea is ignorant and dumb. I want you to make up your idea, make up your mind for yourself. Okay. Seek out opinions contrary to mine. Read what I'm saying, then read what Stacey Raskins wrote, and then make up your own mind. I think that's reasonable. Others don't. So a lot of people are reacting. They don't want to admit that they were suckers. All right. Now, and I'm not insulting NVIDIA shareholders there. I guess I can understand how that might be taken as an insult. But look, guys, the altcoiners during the FTX thing, people who had FTT in their fake wallets with Sam Bankman-Fried, nobody asked the question when the number was going up. All right. And, you know, I remember when I was sitting there with you, Mish, last summer, we were hanging out by the fire when you came out and hung out here. And we were talking about the Terra Luna collapse. And I can't remember, it was at 3 Arrows Capital who had just failed. It was before FTX. And I remember hearing about Alameda Research had taken a stake. And we went to the Alameda Research website. And I remember looking and I saw Caroline Ellison and I think it was Sam Trabucco at the time. And I saw co-CEOs. And I remember saying, WTF, these are freaking kids. These are not people who throw around tens of billions of dollars. And co-CEO, I was like, what is this, a commune at a liberal arts college? Or is this a multi-billionaire firm? And yeah, it was. It was a polycule, whatever that is. And Mish, to your credit, I didn't pull on that thread. And that was a lesson, because if I had pulled on that thread and really chased it down, I would have maybe caught it sooner and been able to warn people, and I didn't. And Mish, to your credit, you stayed on that one. You gnawed on that bone, and you brought it up to me a couple of times, and I didn't listen. My opinion was always that Tether was the big bad in the crypto thing, and I'm still of that opinion, by the way. But that was not an excuse to not pull the thread on Alameda. So I missed that one, and I don't want to do that again. So Mish, that was awesome, by the way. Good credit for that one, that you stuck with Alameda. Mish went and looked, and everywhere he looked, like, where is Alameda getting all this money? And, you know, we probably could have done some research and realized, hey, the address of Alameda is the same freaking suite as the address for FTX.
Well, I think we did find that. And we also found that FTX was basically funding them, but we couldn't go past that, right? And I think it's the same thing that we went through during the CZ stuff and the FTX drop, of all the people coming out making excuses for people. You see it every time, and you know you're close when something like this happens.
Yeah, well, yeah. When they lead with attacks at your character, you know you're onto something. All right, thanks again, guys, for the super chats. I really appreciate that. Captain Keeb says they stopped employing journalists in newsrooms. I think, call me old-fashioned, call me a hopeless romantic. I think there's still a few out there with a spine. All right, I need the story to reach them, and that's why I want to stress to you guys to share these videos on Twitter, on YouTube. All right, get this story in front of eyeballs, okay? Because I think eventually this story is going to get in front of somebody with a spine, somebody with integrity, and they'll pull the thread. All right, and then I'm sure they're going to run into interference in their own editorial staff and their own corporate overseers, who are all beholden to the same overlords. But I think there are still a few with integrity out there that will at least look. But we need to get it in front of them. And the only way to get it in front of them is to not let this story die on the vine. And right now, what they are doing, they with a capital T, and I'm pretty sure they hired a crisis manager, is they are running interference just long enough to let this story stall. The weekend is coming up. People are going to go have fun. They're going to forget about it. The week is going to start over tomorrow, and it's going to be incumbent upon us to get this story in front of them again and get them to look. So don't let this story die on the vine, all right? I don't want to find out 2 years from now that I was right all along and that all those people got robbed during those 2 years because we didn't push this story hard enough, all right? That I don't want to find out. And I'm going back to the Alameda thing. If I had pushed on that, if I had leaned on that, maybe I could have caught it sooner, and maybe a few thousand, fewer people would have lost everything. So I don't want that to happen this time. Thank you, Captain Keebs. I appreciate that. Thank you, Brian Burns, for the super sticker. I appreciate that very much, sir. He says, you're amazing. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that very much. Guys, I appreciate the generosity. It's really awesome. Thank you for supporting this work. I really do appreciate it. He says, hui. Hello, hui. He says, did I pronounce the H's enough? He says, that system is done. You're just another nail into their coffin. Who knows how many lies is out there? Maybe everything is a lie. The saying goes, when the tide goes out, you find out who's swimming naked, guys. And right now, liquidity is drying up in the bond market. And, you know, rates are rising. Companies are going bankrupt. And we are going to find out really soon who's doing this. And, you know, I don't think the whole company is a fraud. All right. I don't think that the chips aren't real. I don't think that the chips aren't awesome. Everything I've seen from some very respectable, intelligent people tells me these things are great. All right. But let me ask you something. Why is Coreweave charging such a massive discount for the use of these chips that are the most sought after commodity in the world? How is it that they're able to beat the prices of their competitors by such a huge amount? There is some very big variable in this equation that none of us can see. And I'm trying to get to that variable. I have a good idea what that variable is. I'm trying to get to it, though. Why is such a big discount for Coreweave? Even Meet Kevin said it. All right, Meet Kevin, who also responded. And again, Meet Kevin just towed the party line, repeated basically the same things that were in that MarketWatch article. Meet Kevin did not address the shell companies. He did not address the Magnetar trade. All right.
Didn't he just skip your article or skip your paragraph in the article?
He did. He went through the article in, it was the Mad King's blog. Shout out to the Mad King. Meet Kevin ran down the article, and actually you can see it in the video. He skips over the article that mentions me, and then he keeps reading. So Kevin, I saw that. All right. And just to clarify, guys, that was not the article that was not the video where Meet Kevin said that BlockFi was a scam, and then in the next breath urged you to click on his affiliate link to go get a discount at BlockFi. It was not that video. It was also not the video where he was paid to promote FTX. Those are not the videos where Meet Kevin skipped over my channel name and then went to the next paragraph. All right. So if you click on the video where he pumps FTX, or if you click on the video where he pumps BlockFi, you won't find me there. You'll find me in the one where he skipped over my channel. Caught that one. By the way, I did comment on that, and I offered to share all of my notes with Meet Kevin. I offered, Kevin, it's all yours. All right. You don't even have to give me credit, all right? You know what? Meet Kevin, you mentioned my channel once, you'd blow me up. My channel would explode in growth. I don't even care if you don't mention me. Look at the work. Address the shell companies in the Cayman Islands. Just look. Just look. Somebody look. Thank you, Nashville Pasta Man, and thank you, we again. Pasta is back. He says, behind every major, oh boy. Behind every major one of those, I don't want to say that. I'd probably get flagged. A card-carrying male model. Thank you, Mugatu. That nobody's special. He's so hot right now. Should I show you Blue Steel? Don't challenge me with a movie reference. Every now and then you'll stump me, but I am a child of cinema. Thank you very much, Nashville. I appreciate the chuckle. All right, guys, I'm caught up. Let's talk about some of the things. Let's talk about some of the things that they do not want you to look at. All right, here, they do not want you to look at this. This is the Carbon Compliance Group on the offshoreleaks.icij.org. This is from the Paradise Papers. This is a treasure trove of over 13 million documents detailing over 120,000 wealthy elite people from around the world hiding their money in tax haven countries from prying eyes of the public. And Michael and Trader and Jack Hogan, the CEO and director of Coreweave, they were directors of a whole bunch of these shell companies when they worked for a company called NatSource. So that's interesting, guys. Carbon credits and shell companies. And what else? What was Coreweave? Remind me again, Mitch. What did Coreweave do before they were a cloud computing firm?
I believe they were in carbon credits.
They were in carbon credits. After the carbon credits, after the hedge fund, what did they start as? What was the name of their company originally? Do you remember? Atlantic Crypto Corp.
Atlantic Crypto.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys, and this is one of the things that they don't want you to look at. All right. So danger. All right? If you think I'm a scammer, if you think I'm a conspiracy theorist, look away, because the following puerile content might offend your eyes. Carbon credits, shell companies in the Cayman Islands, and cryptocurrency. Can anybody tell me the common denominator between those three businesses, between those three things? It sure as heck is not cloud computing. It sure as heck is not artificial intelligence. Carbon credits, shell companies in tax haven countries, and cryptocurrency. Those are all ways to make ill-gotten gains look well-gotten, aren't they?
Well,
That's a common denominator.
What I like about carbon credits is there was no world organization, no organization that tracked them. So you could say sell the same credit 15 times.
Yep.
Right. So there's no telling what that market was really like.
And, you know, hey, I mentioned in part 3, Jack Hogan, the CEO of NatSource, who is currently a director on Coreweave, he went in front of the United States Senate and he said, let me financialize my product. Let me trade derivatives of carbon credits. He said, give me flexible compliance framework, meaning give me lax laws. He said, let me do business in poor countries. All things that makes it easier to introduce dirty money into the financial system. That's interesting. And then he started 30 shell companies in a country notorious for money laundering. That's interesting. And then he got out of that business and he got into cryptocurrency. And that's another industry that's very popular among money launderers, isn't it? That's very interesting. It seems I'm seeing a pattern here. I just can't put my finger on what the pattern is, guys. But you know what? Let's not ask questions about that. Now, billions of dollars are being routed through these same people into NVIDIA. Let's not look. Let's not look at that. Stacy Raskin says, don't look at that. He says that's just a conspiracy theory, that's just puerile from a Twitter rando. Rando. Right there on my shoulder. Come at me with that weak-ass shit.
It's what plants crave.
What's that?
It's what plants crave.
It's got the stuff plants crave. Rando. It has electrolytes. So they don't want you to look at that one, all right? Here's some other things they don't want you to look at. The Magnetar trade. Because remember, we talked about how, okay, we know where the Coreweave guys came from, what they have previously got into, but let's talk about where the Coreweave guys' money is coming from. Where are they getting the money to buy all these chips? They're getting them from Magnetar Capital, among other places now, because all of Wall Street is getting in on the action. But for a while, it was Magnetar. For the better part of 2 years, it was only Magnetar that would give them money. Why would Magnetar give money to these guys and their questionable past? Well, let's look at Magnetar, and I have to give credit to Gigi, who found this article. God bless Gigi. She has been amazing through these last few weeks. She's kept the rest of the world at bay while I just immersed myself in this story. Thank you, Gigi, for everything. The Magnetar trade, how one hedge fund helped keep the bubble going. The hedge fund helped create mortgage-backed securities, i.e. CDOs, pushed for risky things to go inside them, and then bet against the investments, resulting in billions in losses for investors and ultimately making the financial crisis worse. It's a story of the perverse incentives and reckless behavior that characterized the last days of the boom. JP Morgan Chase agreed to pay a $154 million penalty to settle the SEC charges that the bank misled investors about a complex mortgage securities deal during the waning days of the housing boom. The SEC charged that JP Morgan neglected to tell investors that the hedge fund Magnetar helped create the deal and was betting against it. They withheld that information from you, guys. The hedge fund that put together this investment, Magnetar Capital, they put crap into it so it was prone to failure, and then they bet against it, and they sold it to you, the retail trader. And you might be saying to yourself, well, I didn't buy that stuff. No, but your pension did. Your 401k did. Your IRA bought it. And SEC charged JP Morgan. They had to pay $154 million. And by the way, JP Morgan loved this arrangement because JP Morgan was able to get all this crap off their books and onto the balance sheet of unsuspecting retail traders. Magnetar helped the banks park all this crap that was going to blow up onto the balance sheets of unsuspecting retail traders. And this is where the money is coming from now. The money at Coreweave is coming from the people who did this. Stacy Raskin will not tell you that. MarketWatch will not tell you that. Investor Place will not tell you that. Forbes is not telling you that. I'm telling you to look at that. Just look. And one group, I'll tell you, one outfit in all the coverage of this story, I have to give them credit. All right. It was not, they didn't endorse my work, but at the very least, Hedgeye looked a little bit. All right. The Hedgeye put out a video on this flashback. You know, they said our take on the NVIDIA and CoreWeave conspiracy theory. Now, Hedgeye was doubtful. All right. But at the very least, they did make reference to Magnetar's shady past. They were a little dismissive of it, but they at least acknowledged it, which felt like a huge win for me at this point. At least somebody is going to acknowledge that the players in this game are dirtbags. Thank you, Hedgeye, for at least looking. You didn't catch the thing about the shell companies, and I think that's important, guys. The shell companies is the aha moment. Hedgeye at least partially looked, which is a credit to Hedgeye. Now, let's talk again about the shell companies, because I saw something else that was real sleazy. It was in this one, in Markets Insider.
About we're three deep.
3 deep, thank you. Markets Insider ran a story about the conspiracy theory. Wall Street analyst defends NVIDIA from Twitter randos. Hey, rando, spreading bearish conspiracy theory. But this is cleverly worded. Look at this sign right here. Bernstein debunked the baseless theory that Coreweave is a shell company driving much of NVIDIA's recent growth. I never said Coreweave was a shell company. Nobody said Coreweave was a shell company. I said the executives at Coreweave have a network of shell companies, and there it is right there on the Paradise Papers website to anybody willing to look. I blasted it all over Twitter. But even here, look at what Investor Place is doing. Market Insider is doing this. What a sleaze job this is. First of all, the baseless theory. How can they say it's baseless? They didn't reach out to me for comment. They didn't look at any of my notes. All they did was just say baseless. Based on what? Twitter rando? Some guy said it was a conspiracy theory and you just added the word baseless? Nice bit of journalism there, Markets Insider. You quacks. They're saying that people are claiming Coreweave is a shell company. So what they're doing is they're like, okay, people are going to hear the word shell company, so let's train their minds to dismiss it when they hear it by calling it a baseless theory that's already been debunked. And then let's misstate the theory by saying it's that Coreweave is a shell company, not that Coreweave CEO Michael and Trader had a network of shell companies, along with Coreweave director Jack Kogan, who had a network of companies. That is not a conspiracy theory. That's a fact, Jack. Sorry, it's out there. Just like Prince Charles had one, just like Queen Elizabeth had them, and Rex Tillerson and Wilbur Ross. This is sleaze, guys. The way they're doing this is well-crafted sleaze that is designed to deflect your eyes away. So the only journalists that are looking are the journalists, for whatever reason, are tailoring their writers to stop this story dead in the tracks. And I'll let you make up your own mind about why they might do that. But this is garbage journalism right here. Absolute straight-up garbage. MarketWatch, who wrote this? Matthew Fox. Whatever you paid for journalism degree, get your money back, Matthew Fox. Matthew Fox, who did not reach out to me for comment, who did not bother to look at my notes. All right, three deep. Let's see what we got. Who we got? We got Zarkos. Hey, Zarkos. 5 deep. All right, thank you, Mish. Says, for your hard work, maybe you could contact Redacted. They're honest journalists, in my humble opinion. I have sent this to a lot of journalists. I'll look into Redacted. The name is not familiar to me. I don't know who Redacted is, but I'll look into it. Thank you for that, for the recommendation. I've had a bunch of people say I should send this to Tucker Carlson. I'll go on Tucker. I'll do Tucker Carlson. You sure? He's only got like 50 million people. Tucker, you want to talk about this? Let's talk about it. It's more legitimate than some of the recent stuff. So, I think this has more legs. Joe Rogan, bucket list. Let's talk, Joe. I think your viewers would love to hear this. I'll go on anybody. At this point, I would be happy to see this story on the paper placemat at my diner right next to the ad for the plumber. I would be delighted to see this story there. At least then somebody would be covering it. Thank you, Zarkos. Grandpa says, here's some bread to buy a burner phone if you need to go off grid. I'll put you in a camper on one of my tree farms. Thank you, Grandpa. I appreciate the bug out location. No need to ditch just yet. There are not suspicious vehicles parked outside my house or anything like that. And this is a small town. People like that would stick out like a raw thumb if they tried anything like that here. And I am definitely of the F around, find out persuasion. Trust me, guys. Silver and gold are not the only metals that I am a fan of. Let me just put it that way. All right. So I am taking safety of me and mine seriously. Thank you for the concerns. I appreciate that very much. And by the way, that will not dissuade me. Let me just say that. This story needs to be told, and that will not dissuade me. All right.
A little behind the scenes here. I don't think people remember when the Farmington Bank was a big deal. Jack and I almost got on a plane to go to the city Farmington was at. We had to stop ourselves.
Well, let's tell that story about the Farmington Bank, because I found a suspicious real estate transaction that took place around the bank. And I went and looked into it. This is one of the threads I pulled after Farmington went down. And I couldn't make sense of it. It looked like a fake name. And, when I saw that the bank had been bought by SBF, it was actually Jean Chalopin bought the bank, and then Sam Bankman-Fried took a stake in it. I went and I started looking at real estate transactions around the bank in the immediate aftermath. And I found one that didn't add up because I couldn't find the name anywhere. I started looking at who bought the house, where did they come from, what do they do, what's their LinkedIn page, and one of the names didn't make sense. And it was a kind of a valuable house, so I couldn't make it make sense, and it was suspicious to me. And me and Mish were working on it, and I was considering driving out there to just flying out there to just look. And Mish and I were looking at it. We mapped it out. This channel doesn't make a lot of money, guys. I mean, thank you very much for your super chats, but this is not a particularly lucrative line of work. So it would have killed the business model to make this trip. So I ended up hiring a private investigator in the area to look into this real estate transaction. And it turned out it was a typo in the county records, was why I couldn't find the name anywhere. And, this private investigator did a good job. He pulled the thread and he found out that, hey, this is why you couldn't find it. And then when I searched the right name, everything made sense. And it was not a typo that you would guess to make. So it wasn't, everything fell into place. So that's kind of what goes on behind the scenes here. We pull on these threads now, and we do this stuff. And, that set the channel back. I mean, hiring that private investigator was like half of what the channel made that month. But I thought there was something nefarious going on there, so I dug into it, and it turned out not to be anything. So it was a sunk cost. But if I had just gone on the air and ran with that, that would have been a mess, and I would have messed with somebody's life. So I couldn't do that either. I owed it to do that right. So I hired a PI to go look. Anyway, that's a little behind the scenes look at what we do here. By the way, Farmington Bank, I was the only one who caught the $11.5 million story that, hey, Farmington Bank's balance sheet looks close. No, they're really going after Jean Chalopin and the $11.5 million that Sam Bankman-Fried of stolen money that he gave to them. And Jean Chalopin immediately took it and loaned it to himself and ran back to the Bahamas with it. That's why they seized that bank. They're trying to claw back stolen FTX money. They're going after Jean Chalopin. They're going after Tether's bank, Deltec, in the Bahamas. I was also the only one who spotted that, hey, Tri-State, Heartland Tri-State Bank in Kansas, that didn't make sense, that story wasn't right. The losses were too big, that there was some kind of a crime that had happened there. It wasn't just another bank failure. And that ended up to be true. We still don't know what the scam was at Heartland Tri-State Bank that took them down. But I dug into that and I said, this doesn't make sense. This isn't just another bank failure. Something else is happening there. Is a crime or embezzlement or something. And we still don't know what the scam was, but it was a scam that took down that bank. All right, so we don't just go off half-cocked here. We dig into this stuff. Thank you, Grandpa. I appreciate it.
We only go off fully cocked.
Yeah, fully cocked. Thanks. This is going to get dirty fast. We're not going to talk that. Thank you, Grandpa. Thank you, Kevin DeBella. I need to discredit your narrative so they can keep milking money before the gravy train goes away. Also, nobody will be held to account at the end. I am prepared to meet my maker with a clear conscience. Let me just tell you that, Kevin. I will answer for everything I've ever put up on this channel. I stand by this channel's work. All right. I take it very seriously. And I'll tell you guys, I put up a video a few weeks ago. I wouldn't say I went off half-cocked, but I did try to be first with the story when the story about Michael Burry being short the market broke, and we were reading the 13Fs, and it looked like Michael Burry had taken out this massive short position. And I made the mistake of thinking that the value of the premium that Burry had paid for his puts was the number listed on the 13F, when really that was the value of the underlying shares represented by the puts. And that video was going viral. I was getting more views in an hour than my channel would typically get in a week. And that was a glaring error in that video. And that video was going viral, and my channel was growing. I was gaining subs, and I was getting views, and I was making money for a change. And I had to yank that video. I had to take it down because that was a mistake. And I had to reshoot the scene, and I had to put a retraction in there, and I had to say, hey, there was a mistake made in the previous one, and I put that one back up. That was an expensive mistake. And then, you know, the second video, the updated video with the retraction, ended up getting like 6,000 views, where I probably would have got 600,000 views if I had just left the incorrect video up. I took that one down because I don't want to go viral with wrong information. So these are what journalists should be doing, right? I'm not a journalist, guys. I'll be honest with you. I'm not really sure what I am. I'm a YouTuber, content creator. I don't want to say influencer because I'm not a girl twerking in front of a camera light. Nobody wants to see that. Trust me.
We are
Mitch wants to see that.
economists.
We are what?
Unlicensed economists.
Unlicensed economists. Do economists have licenses?
I consider a degree a license.
Okay. That's valid. Although, I mean, you know, if Paul Krugman is the measure of an economist, I will take that as a compliment that I am an unlicensed economist. Thank you very much, Kevin DeBella. I am prepared to answer for everything on this channel. Abso-freaking-lutely. Stand by my work. Phil Lowe says, hey, Jack, I emailed you about reverse crack-up boom to your Nobody Special email address. Let me know. I think you meant to say let me know. I'm not going to pet you now. Let me know. All right, Phil Lowe, I'll take a look at that email. Guys, a lot of people have emailed me recently. My inboxes are packed right now. So please, if I have not replied, I typically make it a point to get to as many emails as possible, and I usually get to most of them. This week, I have not gotten to anywhere near most of them. My Twitter feed has been a nonstop flood lately. I just can't keep up with the comments, with the people calling me charlatan, with the people encouraging me. I'm trying to get to as many of them as I can. So, Phil, please don't take it personally. I'll check out that email, though. I'll look for it on the reverse crack-up boom. That was this morning when we were talking about the surge in borrowing from America's companies this month. Yes. That was interesting, by the way. That's liquidity drain. All right. You got my attention, Phil. We'll look at that. Phil Lowe, Rev crack-up. All right. It's on the board. After a nap, Phil. I need to sleep. Thanks, brother. Appreciate the super chat. All right, we're caught up. Let's talk about some more of the rando-ness. All right. Something else that people are saying. People are saying, like, it's a conspiracy theory that I would even suggest that there might be anything not above board going on at NVIDIA. Let me just remind you guys again that the SEC just fined NVIDIA $5.5 million last year because they failed to make adequate disclosures, as they're required to do by law, as to the impact of crypto mining on their business. They made statements that were suggestive that crypto mining in 2017 and 2018 was not a significant portion of their business. Those were materially false statements that they made. They withheld vital information from the investing public about the health of their stock. And then when crypto crashed in 2018, NVIDIA stock crashed along with it, and their stock, investors lost a whole lot of money. And NVIDIA paid $5.5 million to the SEC, of course, without ever admitting any wrongdoing. They never get held to account. But there you go. Just a year ago, they paid a $5.5 million fine to the SEC, for failing to disclose vital information from the investing public. And you're telling me I'm a conspiracy theorist for considering that something at this company might not be above board? Cognitive dissonance does not even begin to cover it, guys, what we're seeing. And I also want to remind you about this one. And I have people laughing about this saying, oh, it was 2020. The numbers were so small. Yeah, it was 2020. But you know what? Jensen Huang was still CEO. It was the same CEO of the same company in 2020 when Christine Hoberg, the CFO of NVIDIA, committed financial reporting fraud. She overstated NVIDIA's quarterly earnings by 15%. All right, so you can laugh at me that it was a $3 million number, but it was 15% of their earnings. Gee, you think a 15% overstatement of earnings might move the stock? You think? Yes. Christine Hoberg, let me know if any of this sounds a little bit familiar, all right? Let me know if any of this rhymes with what we're seeing. Christine Hoberg made an agreement with a supplier to undercharge her for cost of goods sold to make it look like NVIDIA was more profitable during that quarter than they really were. Then she made a separate agreement with that same supplier where she agreed that they could overcharge her in the following quarter in order to recover their money. But when the auditors came to inspect their books, Christine Hoberg hid that second document from the auditors because she knew they wouldn't sign off on their financial reports otherwise. So she lied. She committed fraud. She committed fraud, and it overstated NVIDIA's earnings by 15.3%. And Jensen Huang was the CEO of the company when that happened. So who believes Jensen Huang had no idea that his CFO had inflated their earnings by 15%? Is anybody out there, all of you keyboard warriors, Stacy Raskin, Wallace Witkowski, Forbes, do any of you guys think Jensen Huang didn't know that Christine Hoberg did that? Okay, it was 20 years ago. Okay, it was a small potatoes by today's standards. It was still 15% of their quarterly earnings. Do you think he didn't know that was going on? What does that say about the kind of person Jensen Huang is? Or let's say hypothetically, you are ignorant or cognitively dissonant enough to believe he didn't know. What does that say about a CEO who doesn't know his CFO is overinflating earnings by 15%? Either way, it doesn't make you look very good, does it? And now people are saying, oh, it was 2020. It doesn't matter. It was the same people in the same company. And if you were a fraud in 2020, you're a fraud today. Sorry. You're just an older fraud. You're just a grayer fraud. Except for me. I'm prettier than I was in 2000. All right. What else we got here? Let's talk about this one.
We also have two more lined up.
Two more lined up. All right. And I know we're getting long in the tooth here. And I want to say a special thank you to somebody who reached out to me. A very interesting person, a very nice guy. Took time out of his busy schedule to talk to me yesterday. Really opened my eyes to a lot of things. It was a real privilege to have that conversation. Thank you. You've asked to remain anonymous. You're going to stay anonymous. But he planted this seed in my head about founder market fit. And I'm not a venture capitalist, but apparently this is all the rage in venture capital markets. They talk about founder market fit. Now, I want you to keep in mind Michael and Trader and Brandon McBee and Brian Venturo, the founders of Coreweave. All right. And I don't know much about Brandon McBee, so we're going to drop him here. Let's talk about Michael and Trader, Brian Venturo, and Jack Hogan. What do we know about them? We know they traded carbon credits. We know they lobbied Congress to give them a market where it was a lot easier to do some nefarious things with finances in poor countries with some very dangerous people. And we know that they had a network of 20 shell companies in the Cayman Islands, possibly 60. And we know that they got into cryptocurrency after that. All right, that's their backstory. Now, let's talk about that in the context of founder market fit, which is all the rage in venture capital right now. Founder market fit is a crucial concept that can make or break a startup, which is what Coreweave is, a startup. It is the match between a startup's founder's abilities and expertise and the needs and demands of the target market. In other words, it is the degree to which a founder's skills, experience, and strengths align with the market's needs, trends, and opportunities. Okay. So what are Michael and Trader's skill sets? What are his experience? Trading carbon credits, running shell companies, cryptocurrency. What does that have to do with cloud computing? What does that have to do with this tech that you guys are telling me is so great? I agree, it's great. What is the founder market fit that makes Coreweave so special that 2 weeks after they filed their trademark, here's the date, here's the trademark for Coreweave, guys, October 28th, 2021. Here you go. I'm going to zoom right in so you can see it. Coreweave, trademark filed October 28th, 2001. 2 weeks later, Coreweave got a $50 million cap raise from Magnetar Capital. 2 weeks later is the date on this one, November 10th, 2021, all right? 2 weeks after they went from mining Ethereum to Coreweave, Magnetar Capital gave them $50 million. Can somebody tell me what was the founder market fit that drove Magnetar to make that investment? When this crypto company 2 weeks ago pivoted to cloud computing and all of a sudden they get $50 million? What were the startup, Michael and Traders, what were his abilities, expertise, and how did that align with the demands and needs of the target market in 2021? Come on, guys. We know what this is. We all know what this is. We know what the Coreweave guys were good at doing. And it sure as heck wasn't cloud computing. Nobody's looking. The press is telling you to not look. Just look, guys. Look under the hood. You're going to find cockroaches scurrying if you flip over this rock like I did. This is not incredible, valid, investigative journalism. And guys, thank you so much for your comments. So many people have said so many wonderful things about my work. And I want you guys to understand that the mind-blowing irony of this whole thing is how quickly I found this. I went to the Coreweave website. I found Michael and Trader's name. I looked at his experience. I found NatSource. I said, oh, carbon credits, that's interesting. I Googled Michael and Trader NatSource, and I came up with the Paradise Papers. 10 minutes, I knew what these people were. In 10 minutes. Stacy Raskin and his fancy note couldn't do that. Stacy, it would have taken you 10 minutes to verify that I'm a conspiracy nut, if you really think so. Stacy, did you do that, Stacy? Did you go to his LinkedIn page and look at his past? Did you look at the founder market fit of Coreweave, Stacy? There was a lot of fancy lingo. There was a lot of personal insults thrown my way. And, you know, I'm not an analyst at a big shot firm. I'm just nobody special. I'm just rando. But I Googled and I found shell companies in 10 minutes. Oh, my goodness, you journalists out there, somebody with contacts, you regulators with your subpoena power, what would you guys find? Because there's some big rocks that I don't have the muscle, figuratively speaking, to flip over, but you guys do. What cockroaches are hiding under those rocks? Nobody will look. Ponder that over the weekend while the press is hoping you guys forget. All right, I want to talk to, we got Kevin, we got Phil Lowe, Dan Hadeen. What's up, Dan? To help pull more threads, they also hit the like button to help the channel. Yes, thank you very much, Dan. Also for your support on the Patreon page. I appreciate that, Dan. I always have a great time talking with Dan on our usually Wednesdays Zoom meetings. We did it on Thursday this week. And thank you for reminding people to hit that like button. It really does help with the channel, guys. Thank you very much. And thank you to Don Murray. What's going on, Don? He says, got here late, but have you guys already discussed the stock dump yesterday from NVIDIA CEO? So I did see that Jensen Huang. I saw some reports that he was selling stock yesterday. I haven't been able to pull on that thread. And to be honest with you guys, I'm a little suspicious because I have one-day-old accounts that are sending me things now, accounts that started last week, and they're sending me information. And I wouldn't put it past these people to put landmines in front of me for me to step on, something to discredit me. So I'm being suspicious of things that are being sent to me right now and the people sending it to me. So I did see the story about Jensen Huang selling yesterday. I didn't talk about it because it looks like in the grand scheme of things, it's a very small percentage of his position that he's selling. If I see those cumulative numbers start to really get big, we're going to talk more about that. But right now, it looks like that's just Jensen Huang taking a paycheck, a paltry $10, $20 million, the poor guy. But it's not mass dumping yet. I am vigilant of that. I'm watching that, and I did see it. But I don't think that's necessarily significant. Now, the Coreweave guys looking to sell a stake in their company at an $8 billion valuation, that looks like them trying to cash out. That's significant, especially because a month ago they were a $2 billion valuation. Now they're an $8 billion valuation. Why? Why? The only thing special about these people is Magnetar will give them money and NVIDIA will sell them chips. What is the founder market fit for these guys? I don't get it. Nobody gets it. It's not engineering. I can tell you that. It is definitely not their engineering prowess. None of them are engineers. Thank you, Don. I appreciate that, sir. And thank you, Dave L. He says, like Burry in 2006 and 7, you did the digging and found the hidden problems, but you didn't just short. You shared your findings so a lot of people can prepare. Thank you. I appreciate that, Dave. I am disclosing no position in NVIDIA. All right. I'm neither short nor long. Look, there may be some dotted line connections to NVIDIA. My wife has a 401k with her day job, and there are not many mutual funds that are not invested in NVIDIA at this point. I might be long NVIDIA, believe it or not, based on the funds that her 401k is in. We don't trade in her 401k, like just in case I make a bad decision and crash and burn, it wouldn't affect everything. So we leave that alone. That's passively managed. So I'm sure there's some NVIDIA hiding in there. But I have taken no positions in NVIDIA. Let me just put it that way. And yeah, I'm not just shorting it. And guys, also, I'm not a very seasoned trader. I'm not a very good trader. I don't want to sell myself as something I'm not. Shorting NVIDIA to me seems like standing in front of a freight train and betting your life it's going to stop. You might be right, but you might be a pancake before you're right. So I'm not advocating people go short NVIDIA. I'm not giving trading advice. I'm not telling people to go short this thing. And again, that's something that the press is dishonestly reporting. The press is saying that Twitter randos are telling you to go short NVIDIA. I am not telling anybody to go short NVIDIA. I am not shorting NVIDIA. All right. So again, they'll tell you things about me, but none of them are true. Except this, rando. There it is. We covered up the perma bear patch for a short time with the rando. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate all the super chats today and all the support of the channel. And thank you to that anonymous benefactor who sent the recommendation for founder market fit. That was interesting when I looked into that. And ask yourself, guys, what is the match between Michael and Trader and Jack Hogan's abilities and expertise and the needs and demand of the target market? Maybe the target market is not GPUs. Maybe the target market is Magnetar. Maybe that's why Magnetar will give them money. Maybe the target market is NVIDIA themselves, and maybe that's why NVIDIA will give them chips. There's a variable here, guys, at work. Why Coreweave? There is nothing special about them. Their history is especially suspicious, but there is nothing technically special about them. There's nothing to explain, despite how awesome the tech is. Why Coreweave? Why do they get the money? Why do they get the chips? I think I know why. Because of the common denominator between the shell companies, the carbon credits, and the crypto. I think that is the founder market fit, which means we're thinking about the wrong end market. Maybe the market isn't GPUs. Stir on that. That's the hornet's nest I stirred.
Well, this goes along with the Singapore bust a couple weeks ago, right? Same kind of deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Dirty money or money fleeing into Singapore away from China. Yeah, there is some similarities there, Mish. You're right. That's another one I got to check in on. Man, stuff's eating up a lot of bandwidth, guys. All right, guys, we've been going for over an hour now. I think we're going to wrap it up there. I want to thank you guys. And look, one more thing. This is probably not very popular, this story, with some rather powerful people. So I want to remind you guys to follow me on Twitter at JGNuke. And you Twitter guys, I want to remind you to follow me on YouTube, Nobody Special Finance, all right? Because it's very possible they try to unplug me soon. It's very possible that they just decide to brigade with some kind of complaint or something, or they engineer some kind of thing as an excuse to take my channel down. And if that happens, follow me on both platforms, all right? And I'm going to tell you one last thing. There's one person I trust to carry this story if my channel and my Twitter feed goes away. That would be Joe Brown at Heresy Financial, all right? If anything happens to this channel, that is the one person I would trust, both smart enough and ethical enough to pick up the reins if something happens here. All right. So that's the one thing I'll leave with you with that. All right. Joe Brown at Heresy Financial, best in the business when it comes to finance YouTube. All right, Mish, you got anything you want to say, brother?
Have a safe weekend.
Yep. Everybody have a safe weekend. The rain just started. The thunder just started here. So I think I'm about to lose power anyway. So I just want to tell you guys, thank you so much for your generosity, your super chats. Thank you for supporting the work. Thank you for the faith in me. Just look, everybody. Just look. Anybody who wants details, I am happy to share my notes with anybody willing to look. Other than that, have a great weekend, you guys. Hug your loved ones. Bad times are coming, but they're not here yet. So make the most of these good times while you still can. And until next time, hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. I love you guys. Live small and dream big.